Hey all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I want to welcome you. This is the Dr. Shabai Show, and on this show, we talk about feminism, how feminism has destroyed society, as well as relationship, home, dating, and families. And we also talk about hot topics. But today, I want to talk about the Jada Pickett Smith interview that happened on NBC tonight. Because I was going to do a video before, but I said, no, let me watch the video and then come back and do a video about her and the interview. So before we get started, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. So I do want to put a disclaimer. This is a spoiler alert because there are several revelations that she talked about that most Americans don't know, because it's just shocking that number one, she sold drugs as a teenager. I think the age of 14 to 17. A lot of people didn't know that. She was, her mom was a drug addict and her dad struggled with it. And the other part of the interview, which was just mind blowing, is that her and Will Smith have been separated since 2016, and that they were trying to let the world not know that they were separated. They were living separate lives, but they were still pretending to be married. And so um, that's the narrative that they wanted to present. And then the other part I don't understand is if they were separated, then why even bring that story about her sleeping with that young person? Um, Augustine, what was the point of that? And it's almost as if they don't even talk about the fact that he was a young man that was really troubled, and she took it upon herself to have a sexual relationship with him. And to me, that's a big um, issue because she's older, she's trying to help him, but you end up sleeping with him, and he's a friend of your son. That's a big issue. It's so interesting because Augustine, when he came out, he said that Will gave him his blessing. And they said that simply was not true. So so basically they are both liars and good liars. So because they made him, Augustine, look like he was a fool because he made it sound like, yeah, that Will knew about it, and that, that he met him and gave him the blessing. And to me, that's even really crazy because, who are we going to believe? They both are liars, Will and Jada. So it must be true that he did know that she was going to have a relationship with, that young guy, and that whole red table was an act. Wasn't really upset because he already knew, but he was just trying to play along with whatever his wife wanted, which I am going to talk about, some of the things that she also said about her mental health. And so that's a big issue as well. She says she suffers from depression, and anyone knows that when you are dating someone or married to someone that has depression, it truly affects your marriage. And you have to get help. It is not something you can pray away. And she said she took some type of drug to get rid of her depression. I don't believe that, because it wasn't a prescribed medicine from a doctor that she said that she took. And so, and then I also want to talk about some of the characteristics of a narcissist that she, is some of the characteristics she's portraying. And so, anyway, so that's one of the biggest thing that came out in the interview, that they have been separated and they're still separated. And the other thing is, she said for right now, she made the promise that she would never get divorced. And I don't understand because she said she just can't bring herself to getting a divorce. They're just separated. And it's just on paper that they're married. And what's the point of that? The whole thing of marriage is commitment and being together. I mean, it's just, I know that Will is worth $350 million and she's worth 50 million. So is it about the money? I mean, because, and she's saying it's because that they love each other. That's why they haven't gotten a divorce. Now, I know what love is and I know what love isn't. This whole narrative that they're, trying to spin, I don't know if this is love. I don't know if they can actually say it's love, because if you love someone, then why do you constantly, you know, berating them? And why are you constantly telling every single thing about your relationship except the big main one, that you actually are separated? Because she talked about Tupac like he was her lover, even though they said they weren't lovers. She loves her some Tupac, and I feel like she loves Tupac more than she does her own husband. And the fact that they're separated, and she talked about the Oscar slap, so I think I'm going to play that part and we'll come back and talk about that, because this is so confusing to me. It's mind blowing, because if they say they love each other, then why are you throwing him under the bus? Why are you saying, I don't know why he did what he did? It's all about me. This is what I felt. But let me show you this video about her explaining the slap at the Oscar.
Yeah, and I did that eye roll not so much for me.
Night 2022, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after Chris made a crack about Jada's hair.
I could tell it bothered you. You did an eye roll.
Right. Yeah, and I did that eye roll not so much for me. And I think this is really important, but the fact that there could be a jab at alopecia.
Will then went on a profane tirade warning Chris not to mention his wife's name. Jada couldn't believe what she was hearing.
What is going on? Now, first of all, I'm really shocked because, mind you, I'm not there. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time. I'm like, what is going on right
keep
now?
my wife's
name out of your mouth, right? And I'm like, but now I'm really worried for Will because I don't know what's going on.
What viewers did not see at the time, while Oscar clips were being shown, was Chris Rock leaning over the stage to talk to Jada.
And Chris looks to me and he says, Jada, I meant no harm. Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about
And
Will.
what's Will doing? He's just sitting there?
And Will's still talking. He's like, he's still, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old shit. That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
How unusual for Will, a guy who, I mean, on that kind of stage to do something so insane.
Absolutely.
It's totally out of character.
It's not him whatsoever.
And to Jada's surprise, she was also blamed.
You became the bad guy. Look what Jada made him do. Jada rolled her eyes, and look what he did. He ran up there and hit Chris.
Yeah.
Poor Will. That's what the narrative became.
Yeah.
She says that's because 2 years earlier, Jada discussed what she called an entanglement on her show, Red Table Talk.
My honest opinion about that is that narrative had more to do with the false narrative that I helped to create on the Red Table.
So poor Will because of
the adulterous wife.
Yeah.
Who forced him to go to the table and sit there. You know what I mean? And now look at what she's done. She has the power with an eye roll to make him go up and slap somebody on stage.
So even in that clip, she doesn't take any accountability for anything what happened on the Oscar night. She's saying that it had nothing to do with her, that it all has to do with Will. And That's just to me is bullcrap. And it's so funny how when you hear other women, they only thing they can say is that, Will Smith is a narcissist and Will Smith had a book that talked about, him having a girlfriend and this. But you know what? He didn't put his stuff out there on TV like she did. I mean, she goes to the media first. I don't know who to believe or what's true because to me, they both have characteristics of a narcissist. Because for her to talk about her depression, narcissists suffer from depression. For her to talk about her unworthiness and wanting to commit suicide, those are traits of narcissists as well. And for someone who have as much money as she has, and it's a mental illness. They both could be narcissists and suffer from it. Who knows? But I think that this is the definition of a dysfunctional family. I think that it shows you that money can't buy happiness. That if you want a healthy relationship, it starts from within. And no one can make anyone happy. That's something I've learned as an adult. Happiness comes from within. And when you meet someone, you need to be happy and whole and complete, and that will make a healthy relationship. So that's my video. I just kind of wanted to give you those highlights of the interview. Definitely check it out. Does it change your opinion about Will and Jada? How do you feel? I mean, for me, it definitely changed my opinion. I think that they both have some deep, deep rooted trauma that needs to be addressed, and hopefully their kids will break the curse of having such a dysfunctional family if they decide to have a family of their own. So I would love to hear what you think. Please leave your comment. Until next time, this is Dr. Shabai. Take care. Bye.